Hi you guys, Tracy here from Terra Physique. I am giving my update on my container garden. This is part 3, I believe. It is Monday, July 11th, and I just want to show you what has been happening with the herb container garden and also what's going on with our backyard as it pertains to us trying to get rid of the ivy and cutting it down and the tree that had all of the ivy over it. So to start off with, I am going to show you all of the herbs in the containers and talk to you more about them. Okay, so to start off with, this is the lemongrass that I started growing. I have already harvested from it. I cut it down quite a bit. It was super tall from the last time. It's probably up to about here. I cut it down. It's starting to grow back, so I'll be able to harvest it again. Right here we have the plantain, which it has done a phenomenal job in growing. As you can see, it's grown quite a bit. I'm even getting some flowers here, so I'm hoping to eventually pop these off and try to get the little seeds out of there. Now, if you can remember from the last time, I had 2 of them, and before I had the net on there, the squirrels ate it up the first evening that I planted it out here. It never grew back, but hopefully I can take the seeds from this plant and start another plant. Here is the French lavender. It's doing good. It's growing. I've already harvested the lavender from it once. I'm hoping that it may try to grow some more buds again so I can harvest again. I just like to go through and rub my hand on it and smell it. It smells amazing. Here we have the lemon balm. Now, this has really grown quite a bit. As you can see, this side is full. Now, I have probably harvested from this plant at least 4 times. I have made infused honey with it. I've made lemon balm tinctures with it. And yes, my husband still talks about me in labs with the elephant ears. They grew in the container and I just kept them in there. Nature at its finest. Now, I did have some lemon balm that went to flower, and as you can see, here's a piece right here. So I looked up online, said it might have been getting too much sun. It could be later on in the season. So what it suggested is that I take it and do a pretty deep cutback so that it can stop flowering and the leaves can continue to grow like this side. So far that is what's happening. I've cut this back and I'm getting nothing but leaves coming back. So I'm gonna have to come in and I have to cut these flowers off again, and then hopefully the leaves will continue to come back. But the way that this is growing, I will probably be able to harvest several more times from here. So I love using this lemon balm. It is a nervine. It's good for calming your insides. It's good for calming your nerves. So it's also part of the mint family. Now here we have my new rosemary bush and the rosemary bush that somebody gave me. If you guys remember from the first video, this was an older bush and it was nothing but woody stalk when I first got it. It actually looked pretty unhealthy. It had some brown spots on it. So I went in and did a really deep cut to it, cut it back, and so far, as you can see where the new growth is happening. You have the green stalks, and then where the older parts, the wooden stalks are, I've already harvested off of both of these twice. I've made a rosemary tincture, and I've also infuse some rosemary oil. As a matter of fact, I just harvested off of these plants on Saturday, so I have some new stuff infusing in the room. Okay, so over here, this is my calendula plants. Now, they were taking forever to start growing, but they are finally starting to kick up. The only thing I'm worried about is, here we are, it's the first week in July, going into the second week of July actually, and they still have not flowered. So we will see what happens with these plants. Hopefully they'll produce something for me. Fingers crossed. Okay, here's my neem tree. It's doing very good. I am actually getting ready to start harvesting some of the leaves off of the neem tree. I actually do use these leaves as a natural pesticide for the rest of the plants. So I've already cut off some of the leaves. I've steeped them in some water, and I spray that not only on my house plants but also on my outdoor plants, and it seems to be working pretty well. Let's go over here. Here is my peppermint. My peppermint is doing fantastic, as you can see. Think about how small it was when I first got it. It was barely growing. I have harvested off of this peppermint several different times. I love this peppermint. I've taken the leaves, I've just chewed on them. They're nice and refreshing. I put them in cold water to make like an iced tea. And here's the garden mint. So what I've noticed about the garden mint is the more you cut it, the more it grows. So that's what I have been doing. I'm still trial and error with the garden mint. As you can see, when we get closer to the bottom, a lot of these leaves are starting to look funny. I try to cut it as much as possible. I'm still working on getting to know the garden mint. Okay, so we're gonna come over here. I am noticing that there are quite a few wasps and bees around here. So a lot of these plants are pollinators, so I'm gonna get that. Here are my chamomile flowers. I'm so happy with these because they are actually producing flowers, as you can see. I've already popped off quite a few flower heads to dry them out. I'm going to continue to do that. Here's some new flower heads that are coming into play. These are actually probably ready. They're completely open, so I'm going to have to pop those off as well. Here's my onion. I've cut it. I've gotten some onions from it. Again, this was just something that somebody gave me, so I'm working on it. Okay, here is my second chamomile flower. It's quite small, but it is still producing flowers, as you can see. Hopefully my camera will focus in more. It doesn't like this screen too much. All right, there we go. So they're coming out. They're almost ready to harvest. Behind that, I have my basil. So that's doing good as well. I've already harvested off of that. Now, we did go on vacation the last week in June, and we had a difficult time trying to make sure that everything got water. It was super hot here in North Carolina. It was like in the 90s that whole week. But I did lose some of the basil. I picked off all the drying parts, and it's starting to come back. So here we have my two yarrow plants. Now, I'm excited about these because when I first bought them, I bought them on clearance from Lowe's. Sorry. They were extremely dried out and on their way out. So what I did is I brought it home and I cut back all of the dead parts of the plant. And as you can see, it's starting to rejuvenate itself and grow some more. I still go in here and I pick off a lot of the dead parts of the plant as it grows. So hopefully I would get some flowers before the end of this growing season. Okay, on to the ivy. Okay, so as you guys know, we cut the ivy on cut days according to the Farmer's Almanac. The good thing is that on this side of the property, all of the ivy that we have cut down and all of the ivy all the way in the back of the property that we put rock sod on, it has actually stayed dead. It has not come back. Now, remember that this area in here is the area where we are going to be putting in our garden beds, our raised garden beds, big ones. Imagine big ones. They are still coming back. So we're going to have to go in on another cut day and try and cut them down again. I do want to update you on our tree though. I'm going to come over here, but look, I want you to see all of the vines, all of the ivy that is coming back. So we're going to have to go back in and try and kill it again. I will say we made some progress, even though this is not our property. We talked about this. This is somebody else's property, but we have gone in and killed back quite a bit of the ivy over here. So public service announcement: if you are going to plant ivy, please make sure that you are being responsible. Remember, all of the ivy originated from this yard. Now, we came in and we cut it back and we killed it, and I mean, we were sore probably for a whole week afterwards, trying to get all of these vines and things up. They saw what we were doing. They came in, they got somebody to come in and clean up. Now the thing is, they're just cutting this ivy like they cut grass, so eventually it's going to keep coming back, especially when it gets to be fall and winter. I can imagine it's going to be a mess. But we now have more control on our property line to make sure that the ivy doesn't come back on our side. So we are still fighting this battle with the ivy, because we are going to win against this ivy, I guarantee it. All right, so now here is the tree that had all of the ivy growing on it. We went in and we cut it, and as you can see, it's starting to come back along the base of the tree. So we're gonna have to do something about that to get that out of there. But you can see, I'm gonna go all the way up the tree, and you can see that all of the ivy that was on this tree has now died down. We were thinking, do we try to rip the vines off? We're kind of scared of it because the vines are so intertwined in the tree. We'll probably wait a few more months and then come in and try and yank them off. They are super strong and they hold on tight. They like literally become a part of the tree trunk. So that is a battle that we are going to have to continue to fight. So that is the update on our garden. I am hoping that by next year we will be sufficient enough. We have our rain barrels getting started, where we will have our raised garden beds in this area to grow our herbs, and all of these vines and things like that we're continuing to work on. It is a process. I honestly thought that when we were out here for that whole weekend trying to clean this stuff up, we would not have to come back. But ivy does not work like that. It is horrible. So we are going to have to just continue the process on trying to kill it off. All right, so that is the herb garden update. And as you can see, I still have netting around a lot of stuff. Now I'm planning for, like, okay, when fall and the first frost comes, what am I going to do with my herb garden? I can't put all of this stuff inside the house. My husband would be oh so not happy with me. So I'm going to have to figure out something to do to make sure that I can continue to nurture my herbs and that they don't die. Or if they do go dormant over the winter, that they can come back in the next spring. Okay, you guys, so that is part 3 of my container herb garden. And I hope you guys are enjoying watching me go through this journey. It is hit or miss. It is trial and error, just like everything else in life. So I'm just learning as I go. The good thing is this year is all about learning and observing the herbs and how they work, and when they flower or when they produce the seeds that they need to, how much water, how much sunlight. So really just trial and error, which is what life is all about, right? So next year when we get ready to do the the big raised bed gardens, I will have more knowledge on what I need to do, when I need to start sowing seeds and such, and when I need to really start like getting those beds in place. So I hope you guys are enjoying this blog, I guess you would call it, or video diary of my herb gardens. And just remember that we have a lot of things in the work as far as tinctures and infused honeys, and using these herbs that I'm growing myself in a lot of our products. The cool thing about when you are growing your own herbs, you are in control. You know exactly what you put on them. Like, I can seriously say that these are like just wild grown. We're not putting any kind of pesticides, using any kind of chemicals. They're just getting natural stuff, what they need: the sun, the rain, and the pollinators. As a matter of fact, 3 things I do not like about outdoors are the snakes, the spiders, and the bees. And we are starting to, around our big tree right here, we are starting to get a lot of bees and hornets and things. So I'm really going to have to start paying attention to that, because that is not something that I play with. But it's their world too. So it's been an awesome day here in North Carolina. Weather has been great today. I've been out here clipping and, you know, just kind of taking dead stuff off. That's the most important thing. When things are starting to die, it is best to get rid of that dead part so that that new growth can come out. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. I will see you again in a couple weeks to give you another update. By that time, it should be end of July, beginning of August, and you will see the transition from now until then. All right, so I hope you guys have enjoyed. I will see you later. Peace out.